Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is another episode of Support Small Card Making Businesses. If you've never seen any of the other videos in that playlist, I'll link to that right here. Today, we're focusing on waffle flower crafts. And if you've seen other videos of mine, you know that I love their dies, their stamps, their pattern paper, everything. They're so innovative, so smart the way they design things, and they make it so much fun for card makers to create. But in today's video, I'm actually talking about staples, basic nesting dies, and 5 different ways to use them. Maybe you've seen some of the other Waffle Flower Crafts basic nesting dies. They have circles, squares, rectangles, ovals, and all of those they have 2 sets. So there's a 1/16 of an inch difference in the size if you get both sets. But there's lots of fun things you can do with basic shape dies. So for today's video, we're going to look at the brand new Waffle Flower Crafts Stars Nesting Die and Banners nesting die. I'm also going to use a couple of the Slimline Cards nesting dies. So let's jump into 5 different ways to use basic nesting die shapes. One of the ways that I love using basic shapes on cards is to create my own background with them. You can cut them out of pattern paper or cardstock and create a really fun, colorful, organic looking background. Let's take a look at what I mean. So to start off, I am using the Stripes Half Enchanted paper pad by Waffle Flower, and I have 5 different sizes of the nesting stars die. And I am just going to temporarily adhere them with the Thermoweb purple tape and cut them all out in my Gemini Junior. Now I have them all cut out. I have a variety of colors and sizes, and I'm just placing them on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of white cardstock, trying not to put the same size right next to each other or the same color of star. Doesn't always work, but that's kind of how I try to get a most organic assortment of color and size on the card front there. And I'm just going to use some tape runner to adhere these down just a little bit so that I can move them around if I need to, but pretty much the assortment is going to stay exactly where I put it, so I don't have any problems just picking up those little stars and then adhering them right down. I didn't have to, take a photo of it or, anything like that, because the layout is pretty simple and it really doesn't matter if you move it around a little bit. Now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to use some nonstick scissors to trim off the edges, because I do want this to be just an A2 card and be able to fit into an A2 envelope. So I don't want anything hanging off the sides there. I'm not going to throw out those extra pieces, because if I have any open edges, I can use those to fill in on the front there. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So now that I have it all trimmed, I do have some open spots there, and I can just put the straight edge against the edge of the card front and adhere these guys down. And that just gives me just a little bit less of the white space on that card front, which is great because it really feels full and vibrant and kind of looks like a party, I think, with all these colorful stars. I am going to use some Distress Oxide in Blueprint Sketch to kind of ink the edges of a message board die that I cut out from white cardstock. It's another Waffle Flower Crafts die, and I just thought that the white cardstock was going to get lost on those stars if I didn't ink the edges. I also cut out the message, which is hey, from that same die set, and in order to line them up, I am going to use the negative pieces on top of that message board die and just pop in those positive pieces, and then once I pull the negative piece away, they will be perfectly lined up, which is just an easy way to do that. So once that's done, I am going to pop this up on some foam tape and then just place that in the center of my card front there. And I love the way this is coming together. I also love how Waffle Flower has come out with enamel dots to match all of their pattern paper pads. So these dots, the colors match perfectly the pattern paper that I used for the stars. So I am just sprinkling in some large and small dots in a couple of different places just to fill in some of those white spaces, but to stay with the same color scheme there. And I really love how happy and bright this card came out. And it was so fun to do with just all those different sizes of stars from the Nesting Stars die. Another fun way to use nesting dies is to create a shaped card, and I love doing this. I love creating square cards, heart cards, circle cards. So let's take a look at a banner shaped card. Unfortunately, my video file got corrupted where I showed how to create the banner shaped card. But basically take the largest banner die and hang the edge off of a folded piece of white cardstock. Hang it over the fold and then die cut it. So instead, I'm going to show you how to create a foiled sentiment. So I am cutting out the hello from the message boards die of double-sided foam adhesive from Thermoweb. And this foam is perfect for adhering foil. So I'm peeling off the back of the letters and then I'm going to stick them down. They stuck all except the O on this little square of foam adhesive there. So all I'll have to do is add the O in. That's not a problem at all. Just take the backing off the O and then pop it right in there in that piece. Pull the rectangle off and you have all of the hello adhered down. Now I'm going to adhere two different shapes of banners and I'm going to adhere this star with the hello on top. The next thing I'm going to do is peel off the top protective layer of the double-sided adhesive foam. So I'm going to peel off each letter's top protective layer. They've all been die cut. Next, I'm going to take a piece of foil and I have the color side facing me and I'm going to rub it with my finger just to burnish that foil and it transfers to that double-sided foam. Now I'm going to put this whole banner panel onto the top folding banner shaped card that we created. Again, I'm sorry that I lost that footage. It just totally got corrupted. And then I'm going to tie a little piece of twine wrapped around that top of the banner there. Makes it look like it's hanging from a baker's twine thread there, and I love the look of that. Super, super cute. I just kind of tied a knot with several layers of that twine there. And that is easy. So next I'm going to take some white enamel dots from the clean and clear pack of Waffle Flower enamel dots. And I did a large dot in between each star point and then two smaller dots on each side of the large dot. And that completes our banner shaped card. Another fun way to use nesting dies is to pair two sizes of the same shape together to create frames. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. To create star frames, I'm going to use two different sizes of the stars, the sizes that are right next to each other. So one just smaller than the last one. And I'm going to place them onto pattern paper inside each other. And I'm going to use the Thermoweb tape to keep them in place, but also to keep both stars exactly the same amount of space from each other. So I want the margin around the smaller star to be the same. And this way I'll have a nice even frame. So I'm going to do this with several sets of stars, just going down in the line, one size and then the next size smaller. And I use the outside tape to keep the star outside in place, and then the inside tape to keep the small star and this larger star in place next to each other. So I'm going to do this several times to create several different size frames, and those are all going to be a step down from each other, so there'll be a nice border in between them. And I'm going to place them onto a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of cardstock that I ink blended at the top and kind of faded out towards the bottom there. So you can see I'm using just some liquid adhesive to adhere those frames inside each other. They cut out these really nice, delicate star frames. And like I said, there's a nice border between them where you see the card there, except for the smallest one. Now I'm going to use my paper trimmer and cut in towards the star. I'm going to stop when I hit the star at the bottom at the same height up. And this way I will have a nice line that will cut straight across from the star. And then I'm going to use my scissors to trim outside the star where I am under that line. This is going to create kind of like a star hanging off the edge of the card there. And I'm going to do the same thing on a top folding note card that I traced with pencil the star that I had cut on my panel there. So now I am just cutting out the trace lines. These are pencil lines. I'm just going to cut right up against them just so that I can create a note card where my star is going to hang off the bottom of the card there. So it won't be able to stand up because it won't have an even edge on the front there, but it just has kind of a cool effect to it, just something a little bit different. I adhered some pattern paper on the inside of the card, and you can see that peeking through there as well. For this card, I chose the Waffle Flower Crafts Botanical Half Stripes pattern paper, and they do have enamel dots that match. These are brand new enamel dots. They have them for all of the pattern paper pads that they came out with. Their pattern paper pads are unique. Instead of being 6 by 6, they are 8.5 by 5.5. So you get two A2 panels next to each other, which is great because you get more bang for your buck that way and also less waste. So I'm going to use those enamel dots just to finish up this card here. And I have the hey, hi, hello from the message boards just adhered around the star as well. Another fun way to use nesting dies is to take advantage of the variety of sizes that they include. So you can use a larger size to house your sentiment and then use smaller sizes to complete the design of the card. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This card, I'm going to use the Nesting Slim Layers die. I'm going to adhere one slightly smaller on top of the slightly larger slim layers to create a nice matted effect. I'm going to use the Under the Sea sentiments, and I'm going to stamp it in a VersaFine Black Onyx ink because that stamps really well on pattern paper as a pigment ink. It sits on top of the paper rather than sinking in, so it doesn't get lost in that cute little pattern there. I am using the Nesting Banners die, and I have the banner in the center as a larger banner. Then next to that, I have a slightly smaller one in the stripes, and then next to those, a slightly smaller one in the blue dots. So this is a nice way to use those nesting shapes, is to have the sentiment housed in the largest piece there, and then use some smaller of the dies to create embellishments or the rest of the design of your card. So I did pop up those banners on top of foam adhesive, and I'm just flipping the card over and trimming off the excess because I want it to be flush to that card there. I am going to put some Clean and Clear, and these are the white ones, these enamel dots in between the banners there so that they are kind of strung in between that. And I did add some stars popped up on some foam adhesive once again. And I just love the way that that looks. I love the colors together, and I love how just a little bit of dimensional adhesive, and it looks like that banner is kind of going off into the distance there because you are using the different sizes of the banners. Once again, some more enamel dots are always fun to add. They add shine and dimension. The last tip I want to share for using nesting dies is to create shaker cards. Again, because you have a variety of sizes, you can use a large nesting shape and then a smaller nesting shape to create a shaped shaker right on your card. Let me show you what I mean. Create a shaker shape. We're going to put two stars inside each other, the smaller one inside the large one, and we're going to temporarily adhere them together with some Thermoweb purple tape. Now, I'm going to use a lot more of this tape because I want these stars to stay together for several different die cuts, and that's why I'm trimming the outside. I don't want them to stick to whatever I'm cutting and then move around. I want them to stay exactly the way they are. So I'm going to use them to cut out two pieces of white fun foam. Those are going to create our shaker layers there. And then I'm going to cut out this glitter cardstock as well, the silver glitter cardstock. And then I'm going to take that two stars apart and just cut out the largest star. I'm going to adhere with some liquid adhesive the glitter star down to my acetate star there, and that's going to create my shaker window. It's going to go on the top of the shaker to keep the shaker goodies inside and to customize the look of that white foam. Now I adhere the two pieces of white foam together, and those will be tall enough to have shaker goodies on the inside. I'm going to cut out a stars panel die from Waffle Flower. I'm going to poke out all those stars because I'm going to use some of them right inside my shaker. I'm going to adhere the panel die down to some white cardstock and then adhere my two pieces of fun foam together down to that panel. Next, I'm going to take the star that was cut out from the glitter frame there, and I'm going to adhere that right on the inside. That's going to make our whole star look like a silver glitter fun star. Now I'm going to put some of those blue stars that popped out from the panel die inside the fun foam on top of that glitter cardstock. I'm not going to use a ton or all of them. I'm just going to use some because I like the way that that color looks on the inside of the silver, and then pour my shaker goodies, which are clear stars, on the inside. I'm going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive around that frame there of that window and just lay it right on top. Make sure that you put it all around the inside so your goodies don't come out, and then just press down. Make sure that you can have everything nice and lined up. That's why liquid adhesive is great there. And that is your shaker. So now to get the sentiment, I am going to stamp a sentiment that says "way to get it done," and then I'm going to adhere a couple more of those little stars on the outside there. And this, I think, is my favorite card. I love making shaker cards with nesting shapes, and stars are some of my favorite shapes ever. I am going to include some black enamel dots, and that is from another set of Waffle Flower Crafts new enamel dot sets. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll look at your nesting dies a little bit differently, maybe even check out some new shapes that you don't have yet, like the stars or banners from Waffle Flower. The supplies that I use are linked down below in the description box. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that bell so you can be notified when my new videos are available. And there's a couple more videos here that I thought you might be interested in. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon.